Hey everyone, Dr. Charlie Johnson, physical therapist here. I want to shoot a quick video today as I've been working with a lot of people with Piriformis syndrome and/or another way to basically say a pain square in the buttock or deep in the butt cheek, and they've been making this same mistake. So I want to share that with you in the sort of description of this video, or a kind of one way to think about it is look, if you can bake a cake, you can heal your Piriformis syndrome. And what I mean by that is if you bake a cake, right, there's a recipe. There's a step-by-step process for solving that problem. And you add one ingredient at a time, right? So let's just say that you're on Ace of Cakes or whatever it is, right? You're in some cake baking competition in your town or something. You go get a bunch of pre-mixed cake boxes, maybe one that you like, and then you want to doctor it up, right? You want to find a new, better way to make a cake, all right, and make it your own. So what do? Person A throws all kinds of stuff in there, right? So they throw some cinnamon, some more vanilla, some nutmeg, some ginger, some salt, some, whatever, you name it, all right? They throw a bunch of things in there, and then it comes out and it tastes either good or bad, right? So there's some result that comes of that, all right? Or, Baker B is scientific, right? They're over there, they take a teaspoon. This person over here was just kind of grabbing stuff and throwing it in there, and a dash of this and a dash of that. Baker B is taking close measurements, careful measurements, right? They're documenting exactly what they've done. They're tasting maybe the batter, or if you don't like cakes, I don't know, the pasta, the sauce, whatever, as they're working on it to determine what is needed and what is not needed, what makes it taste good versus what makes it taste bad. Who do you think at the end of the day is going to have a better understanding of what made their cake taste good and what made their cake or recipe taste bad? Baker A, who just randomly threw a bunch of stuff into the pot and hoped that it tasted good? If it did, how do they replicate that? If it didn't, what do they need to change? They don't know. They don't know if it was this ingredient counteracting that ingredient or whatever, right? But Baker B, because they were scientific, they constantly tested things and they measured things and they taste tested between adding various ingredients and whatnot, they are in a much better position to understand what made it either taste good or maybe what ingredient made it taste bad. So the single biggest mistake I would say that I see people with this glute type pain, whether it be Piriformis syndrome, sciatica, back problem, hip, whatever it may be, make is that they mix everything up. And what do I mean by that? So what they do is they come to me and they said, I've been doing everything. And really what that means to me is that they've been doing nothing. They don't understand anything about their problem. So we have to start over, all right? So get this. If you're trying to learn, if you're trying to learn something in life, the best way to learn is by using extremes. You can do this to heal yourself at home if you're watching. So, for example, my daughter, she's 2.5 years old. If you have a kid, or heck, it could be anybody, or you yourself. If you're trying to learn something, what's the best way to learn? In this case, say what hot and cold is, what light and dark is. Let me ask you this. If you take Baker A, right, if you take some hot water, some cold water, whatever, and it's just kind of lukewarm, are you really going to know? Like, if you have no experience, are you going to know is that hot or cold? No. Because it's just a mix mash of a bunch of different temperatures, right? It's probably somewhere in the middle. So you don't learn much by living in the middle. Instead, the best way to learn is by living on the extreme. Go and sit in a hot tub, right? I'll dip my daughter's toes maybe into a hot tub, right? And she'll know that's hot, Daddy. And then you could go, and if you wanted to teach her what cold was, or you want to learn what cold was, and the person had no idea what cold was, what would you do? Find the coldest place around, stick them in an ice bucket, right? And then they'll know what cold was. But if you mix the two, then the hot cancels out the cold or the cold cancels out the hot. And you don't actually know. It doesn't really give you much context, because you don't know what one does versus what the other does. You don't understand the two extremes. The same thing can happen in your rehab or your ability to treat yourself. Meaning, if you go to PT and they give you a whole sheet of exercise, or you go to the chiropractor and they do a whole bunch of manipulations, or you go to the massage therapist, they do a whole bunch of massage, the head to toe massage, and you feel great afterwards, how do you know what it was? So instead what you want to do is you want to test one ingredient at a time. So let's break this down. A lot of people that I see with piriformis problems, they're told to stretch, stretch, stretch. So I would ask you, what is the opposite of stretching? Shortening. What is the opposite of stretching, which is lengthening? Shortening or contracting, right? To lengthen, to shorten. Hot, cold, sunny, dark, whatever, all right? So if you're going, I have so many people where I give them, they look online, they see an exercise, could be any exercise, and they say, that exercise didn't work. I tried that exercise, Charlie, it's not going to work for me. And I say, no, you didn't try that exercise. You tried this whole recipe of exercises. So all I know is that the recipe was crap. It could have been that this one exercise was good. It was a great ingredient. It was salt. But then you put in pepper, the opposite of salt, if you will, in my brain at least, and it screwed things up. And it canceled out the effect of that taste or that flavor, in this case, the result. So just get that 80% of your results are probably going, 80% of your results are probably going to come from the 20% of motions, exercises, things that you do in life. So, if you're doing 10 different things, is it possible that 8 of those things are a bunch of junk and 2 of them actually have the potential to help or heal or help you better manage your problem, but you don't know because you're mixing hot and cold. So for example, I see people who are saying, Charlie, I tried these stretches, I did 1, 2, 3, I'm doing this piriformis stretch, this pigeon pose, I was in yoga and I was doing these hip openers, whatever, and then I did some strengthening exercises over here, right? And the problem is that you're mixing the extremes. Therefore, you're going to have no clue what's actually working or not working. And I'm not saying, even if, don't even worry about the exercise yet. Just get that you have to pick to live on one end of the extreme. And you have to be specific and precise about testing these things so you don't mix a bunch of crap together. And the result is probably you're just going to get a bunch of crap. Meaning you're not going to get results, you're going to be frustrated and say, PT doesn't work. PT doesn't work for everybody. But I'll tell you what, PT like this, that really lessens your chance of it working. Because the PT or the healthcare provider or maybe the chiropractor massage therapist, they actually don't really have much clue what worked or what didn't work for you as well. So then they're just as lost as you are. So the point is you have to be scientific. You can't mix things up. If you're going to choose to do an exercise to improve the strength of an area, don't be stretching it at the same time. Cut out all stretches and only work on strengthening. If you think that stretching is the solution for you, then cut out all strengthening and only do stretching. And maybe pick 1 or 2 motions, that's it. Because otherwise, how are you to tell? So the point is, a lot of people, right, they think that doing more exercises, doing more stretches, doing stretches maybe a little bit more properly, and just doing more and more and more and more is going to be the solution. When instead, what if we could do less? And by doing less, what if we could gain clarity as to the solution to your problem? So rather than doing all of this stuff, this whole recipe that either works or doesn't work, what if we could actually be better than that and tease out the one thing that doesn't work? Or the one thing that does work? Would that be more effective? Would it allow you to better understand and go through a journey of understanding what works and what doesn't work? Because the killer is look, if you're going to spend a lot of time, energy, and money working with someone, then at the end of that, you want to be able to say, I tried this, and I tried this, and only this, and it didn't work. And I tried this, and only this, and it didn't work. And I tried this, and only this, and it didn't work. I'm not saying combinations at the end of the day can't work, but the point is that you want to have some clarity about what works or what doesn't work. All right? And it's very difficult if you're doing 10 different things at one time to determine what that is. So, the single biggest mistake, again, for people with glute, hip, piriformis, deep buttock type of problems is that they mix everything up. Don't mix the extremes. Don't mix hot water with cold water because you're just going to get it lukewarm. And that's the result that you're going to get if you mix different extremes and styles of treatment. Just pick one, whether it's right or wrong. Just pick one. And that way you can go back and you can say, I know that this didn't work. I know that this did work. Or I know that this didn't change anything for me. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, Dr. Charlie Johnson, physical therapist here. Be systematic. Develop a thought process and a reasoning behind what you're doing. Don't just take people's word for it. Just try a bunch of random stuff. Look, it's possible that you might have to try some random things. You might find a solution. But at the end of the day, you want to know what makes you feel better, sane, and or worse. So for anybody out there who's dealing with these problems, visit www.calldrc.com to set up a pain-free planning session where we walk through where you want to go. We chat through a 5-point symptom inspection to understand how your problem started, how long it's been going on, what makes it better, what makes it worse, all these things. And then we chat through a back to normal blind spot. So we uncover that which is keeping you from healing, and then we lay out a roadmap to relief to get you feeling better. Again, www.calldrc to set up that pain-free planning session, and or email me directly at Charlie, C-H-A-R-L-I-E, Johnson, DPT, @gmail.com for specific help. So again, hopefully that's helpful. Take care.